As a liberal myself, I'm astonished that Democrats lost to this guy, championed a quasi-insurrection, was elected. And so to my mind, that says Democrats have to look in the mirror. Universities and others have to look in the mirror. What have we been doing wrong? And I think a part of that is that as the role of race in determining life prospects has declined and the role of class has increased, the Democratic Party never caught up. They never changed and saw that, well, maybe we ought to be reframing these issues.
Rick, what do you think the reason is that about the past 20 years, there's been a major sea change in people's receptiveness to the class argument? Like when I first, in my humble way, tried to make it in the year 2000, a great many very sensible people seemed to think there was really something wrong with me. That was a really renegade argument to make. I was missing the role of racism in society. I was being disloyal to people of my own skin color. There were people you just could not reach, and it was a lot of them. And I think it was only partly that I was at Berkeley at that place and time. It was, ordinary New York Times reader, NPR opinion. That's really different now. Like, for example, I think your book is going to make a major noise, and I think that reasonable people are going to be much more open to it than they would have been in, say, 2005. Obama maybe had a little to do with it, but it couldn't have been just that one statement. What do you think has changed in the 21st century?
Well, I think the Supreme Court decision outlawing racial preferences helps explain why people are more open to class. It's it's the best game in town that's legally viable because and especially now that some on the far right are going after class, that makes it more attractive to those on the left as kind of a counter. So I think it's a practical path forward for people on the left. I also hope that the election of Donald Trump a second time is getting people to reconsider some of the craziness around issues of race that went on and that John, that you wrote about in Woke Racism. I mean, there's a pulling back and in part, I think, a recognition that that the racial, the emphasis on racial preferences is so far out of touch with where the public is, and that there are negative consequences. I mean, as a liberal myself, I'm astonished that Democrats lost to this guy. I mean, the guy who championed, a quasi-insurrection was elected, and so to my mind, that says Democrats have to look in the mirror. Universities and others have to look in the mirror. What have we been doing wrong? And I think a part of that is that as the role of race in determining life prospects has declined and the role of class has increased, the Democratic Party never caught up. They never changed and saw that, well, maybe we ought to be reframing these issues. I mean, Obamacare, which I support, is basically class-based affirmative action. To my mind, the most successful liberal initiative in the last generation did not say, well, if you're Black and if you're privileged, you're going to get Obamacare, and working class whites won't. No, the subsidies went based on economic disadvantage, and that to me is the successful path forward.
That's why they call you a liberal maverick. I've got an answer to my question now. I mean, you're against identity politics, whether you're willing to say so out loud or not. You probably watched with horror as defund the police became the mantra of progressive Democrats across the country. And you think, how could we lose to this guy? Answer is, we've not been the party of the working people and the bottom middle ranks of American society for a while. We've been captured by coastal elites who have their own fashionable enthusiasms, among which are bringing kids with both parents being lawyers who happen to be black to Harvard at the expense of some kid from Kentucky or Southwest Ohio. I mean, not to put words in your mouth, Rick, but that's the message I'm getting from you.
Well, you said it much more succinctly than I was. Exactly. That's and it goes back to Bayard Rustin. He said, any racial preference will disrupt a multicultural society, disrupt a progressive working class, multiracial working class coalition, which was always his dream. And we've been doing the exact opposite. And it's not surprising that we find ourselves in a situation where